Hey everybody, Poker Dad here. I just finished a 2 hour session, and it was easily my best session on Ignition since I started playing on here. I finished up 4 buy-ins, and my BB per 100 was 94.08. So I recorded this session, but I really wasn't chatting too much through it. But I wanted to show 6 hands that I played. I'm going to show you through the uh, the um, the replayer of of Ignition here, and just the top 5 wins I had tonight, and also just one hand I was really proud of. And the reason why I did so well tonight is I definitely picked up my betting versus the recreational players and did not bet them light, and it definitely paid off tonight. So I am going to get right to it. I'm going to be pausing the video in between me getting each hand from the replayer. So I'll be right back. All right, so here's the first hand. This is a hand that I was just really proud of. This was really early on in my session here. Um, so I was dealt. This is me up here. Okay, so I was dealt pocket sevens. So of course I raise it up as soon as those come in there, and we get a call from the button here, and here we get king six queen. So not something I could definitely see bet, and I do see bet it here. And as you can see, I did pretty much a pot size bet. It looks like pretty big bet. I didn't realize I made it that big of a bet. So anyway, he calls it. So I thought that was interesting. So okay, he calls it. So now I guess I'm in trouble here. And now we get a four. So now you got a flush out there. So naturally, of course, I decide to check this here. And he checks it too. And now I thought that was actually really interesting. On the river, we get an 8 of diamonds. So, very interesting spot here, right? Again, of course, I'm going to check it, but I check it really thinking I've got to. I actually think I can win this hand with sevens, and I if he bets, I'm actually going to call him here, and I think he's going to be on a bluff here because he called my C bet, which isn't a crazy thing to do, especially maybe he's on a straight draw or something like that. Not a crazy thing to do, but when he checks my the when he checks the turn, that really said to me that he doesn't have a king and he doesn't have a queen. Because why would he check that turn? This is definitely a turn that he's going to want to bet on when I check it to him. So I didn't think he had a king. I didn't think he had a queen. Maybe he had a six or a pair of sixes or something. But I really felt like I had this hand won unless he had an eight. So I checked it here. And then he bets. And look at his bet, $1.19 bet. And I actually thought about this for a long time. I clicked the time bank on it, and I said to myself, you know what? This is a spot. This guy was kind of a reggish player. He wasn't a fish. If he was a fish, I absolutely would have folded this. But he was a reggish player, and the fact that he checked this turn, well, from my check, it really said to me at this point, especially when his eight came out here, that he had nothing. And I had to think about it for a long time. I decided to call his bet, and bam, he shows up with Jack 9 offsuit. Had absolutely nothing. Why did he call it? Why did he call this? He called it because he was just chasing a straight. So I was really proud of myself after this hand. I really thought I took the whole time bank to really think about this hand and said to myself that I really believe here my sevens are good. And they were. And I won the pot. So pretty happy about that one. On to the next hand. Okay, here's our next hand. So this hand here, I have King 9 suited here, and I'm in the cutoff position. It's not a hand I'm just really proud of how I handled it in terms of with my betting. So We get a fold here, so of course I open raise the king nine suited from the cutoff, which is a standard. Get a call from the button, which of course I don't love because I'd rather be playing the guys here in the blinds in position, but that's fine. We do get actually we get a bunch more calls. So we're in a four-player pot here. Of course, I don't love that. You got to play very straightforward in this situation. Um, and we do get the top pair here, which is great. So we get a couple of checks, and when we get in top pair, I put in a pretty hefty bet. The reason why I put in such a big bet is because I remember that there were a couple of fishy players here in this particular hand. In fact, I can actually tell you that there were actually fishy players in this hand. Um, and in fact, this guy here had a 60 VPIP that I know. I'm looking at it on my other screen. So this is exactly what I've been trying to do the entire night, was bet these players big when I have a hand that I feel like is a good hand, and based on my hand reading and all that. So um, the turn comes with four. So this seems like a really scary card, right? Because he could definitely have a flush. But this is what I'll tell you. When he checks to me here, sure, he can have a flush. He could be looking for a potential check raise. And that's what I'm looking for here. So I actually bet him again big. You see, I bet $2.20 into a $2.25 pot. And I said to myself, okay, if he raises me, I'm absolutely going to be folding his hand because he's going to tell me he has a flush. And I'm willing to stick my neck out in the line here and make this continuation bet versus him because he's a rec player and I want to bet in this spot. And he does call it, so he doesn't raise the bet. So when he doesn't raise the bet, that says to me, pretty good chance he probably doesn't have a flush. And I could just play definitely play the river conservatively if I want to. And so we get to the river, and there's a 5. Of course, just a card I'm not too afraid of here. And he checks to me here. So obviously in this spot, I'm just going to check as well. I have no reason to bet again. Sure, he probably does not have the flush here. But I just felt like at that point, I was kind of unsure of what he must have had, so I decided just to check it with my king because he could have, well, of course, had a better king than mine or something like that. Even maybe he has 2 pairs, something like that. So anyway, I just check it, and he shows nines. So he bet those pot size bets on the flop and the turn with his nines, and I got some great value out of it, and I won a nice pot with basically just not a great hand, pair of kings on my king nine suited on a flush board. So definitely was very happy about this hand here. So that's hand number 2. Now on to hand number 3. Okay, so on to the next hand. This was actually one of my favorite hands of the night, and you'll definitely understand why here. This guy here, let's start it off. Okay, obviously I have ace 10 offsuit from the big blind here, and we're four-handed. Get a limp here from the button, and you get a weird min raise here from the small blind. Very odd. So I just end up calling it. Ace 10 offsuit's not the greatest hand, so in the big blind, I call his min raise, and of course we do go 3 ways, and that's really not a problem. Flop comes, and we have a pair of 10s with an ace kicker, which I'm very happy about, and you got a couple 3s. So this is an interesting spot here. So we get a bet right here from the small blind. Interesting spot here. Now, obviously, I cannot fold this. He could easily have a worse 10 than me. Sure, he could definitely have a 3 as well. But let's not forget the fact that he did open raises here. So even though it was a small one, so what are the chances that he has a 3? So I'm guessing, I mean, sure, he could have pocket 10s, of course, but I mean, that's probably not likely either, considering, I have a 10 and there's a 10 on the board. So, this is definitely a spot I'm feeling really good about. So I call the bet, of course, and the button says goodbye to this hand. That's fine. See you later. And out comes a 5. The 5 does really nothing. I still feel like I'm definitely ahead in this hand here. Again, just all I'm worried about is possibly three, but I don't really think he has a three in this spot. He opens up the betting again, so again he could easily have maybe he has king 10, maybe he has queen 10. Who knows? But maybe he has some kind of 10. Again, not too worried about threes here. So I think this is a great spot for me to actually uh, raise him here on the turn. So I did raise him here on the turn. This was a raise. Um, my hand still is vulnerable, of course. I just have a pair of tens. Um, maybe a king comes out, a queen comes out, then I'm losing this hand. So I decided that I could bet here and just see if I can get a fold here on the turn. Even though I definitely right now also know I'm ahead. So it's not like it's really a bluff because I know I'm ahead at this point, unless he has a three. So he decides to actually call my raise. And so things here get even more interesting now. On the river, you get another three. So, of course, I have a full house. So it really now even just makes it so less likely that he has a three. Could he have quads? Quad threes? Absolutely, he could have quad threes, but it's just not likely. So, you know what? Maybe he has a 10, and you know what? Maybe we're gonna chop a full house here. Quite possible. So what does he do here? He shoves it. So what's he shoving? He's either shoving it probably with a full house like me. Maybe he has a worse. He could have a worse full house. It's quite possible. Maybe, maybe he has a better full. He could even have a better full house for all I know. Maybe he opened raised 20 cents with freaking pocket jacks, pocket queens. I doubt it though. I don't really think that'd be the case. But he's been aggressive this entire hand. Okay. I'm going to call this here. I'm definitely not folding this in this spot here. So of course I'm going to call his shove, and he shows up with 5-8. So yeah, of course he definitely had a full house as well. But this is just really an interesting spot, right? Um, I win, of course, and I take down a really nice pot. Um, but let's see. He so he opened up with 8-5 suited. All right, I mean, okay, I don't love it, but whatever. Um, he opens up that betting 3-10-3 with 5-8 suited. That's terrible. Then of course the five comes out, and the five comes out, and I raise him on the turn, and he calls it. That's just not good with a 10 sitting out there. And the age old rule, fold to that turn raise. Usually you're beat, and it's nice to be able to once in a while raise on the turn when the opportunity comes, and bam, we took down the hand. So I really love this hand. This was actually one of my favorite hands of the night. Okay, on to the next one. Okay, here we are with the next hand here. So in this hand here, I am in the under the gun with King King. Of course, this is a great hand. I love it. Um, and of course, we're going to open raise here from the under the gun. And here we get a call from this guy in the cutoff. Okay. I can tell you that he was a 38-19, so kind of on the fishier side. Pretty close to fishy. So here on the flop, we get 10 Queen 4. So of course this is definitely an obvious c bet spot for me here. I bet pot here in this situation. Because I'm up against more of a rec type player, and this is definitely a good spot to bet pot. If he likes his hands enough, he'll definitely call it. And if he doesn't, he's going to fold anyway. So let's just bet pot. Why not? Got a great hand so far. He calls it. Okay, great. Go to the turn, and it's a 2. Again, what am I nervous about? Definitely, I'm going to see if I'm going to get this whole entire stack in by the time we're done. If he keeps on calling me. So again, we bet pot here. And he gives it a call. All right, great. And we get to the river. So the river is interesting because we have a 10 here. So now I could be, I could be a little worried here, right? Wouldn't I be a little bit worried? It's possible he has a 10. He's been calling me with a 10 the entire time, and now he's got 3 10s. It's quite possible. So you know what though? I'm not going to be worried about that. And this is something that I thought about tonight. I can't be worried about these crazy things potentially going down. I still feel like my kings are good here. I'm not going to worry about him having a 10. Look, if he had a 10 and he has 3 10s now, so be it. So I put in the $5.05. I don't know why I didn't stack him here. I just didn't realize it. And he calls it. And he shows up with, he mucked his hand. But actually, I know what he had. He had Queen Jack suited. And I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I had to go and let my dog out to go to the bathroom. So anyway, so he has Queen Jack suited. So this is quite interesting. So what did he do here? He had top pair. All right. So he had. You know what? I can't fault him for. I can't completely fault him for making these calls here. You know, he felt like he had the best hand, and it was unfortunate for him that I flipped over pocket kings, and I took down a nice pot. And again, I just kept betting because I knew he was a recreational player. You know, I felt like I definitely had the best hand here, and I wasn't worried about the 10. You know, I wasn't going to let the 10 bother me here. So, and I took down a nice pot. So there you go. Next hand. So here we are. We have another king, this time from the big blind here. So let's see what happens here. We get all these folds, and we get a raise here from the button. He's a 43-29 player, so he's a rec player. And we get a fold there. So, of course, now I'm going to definitely just 3-bet this here. No reason not to 3-bet. I'm totally 3-betting for value versus the rec player. I expect him to call most of the time, and he does call it, which is great. And the flop comes out Jack 9-9. So I'm not going to be afraid of this. I'm absolutely going to be c-betting this here. The Jack 9-9, and you know what? If he's got, if he has a 9, if he's got a pair of jacks, so be it. But this is definitely a spot I'm going to obviously be c-betting here for value, and he does call it, which is fine. The turn comes a queen. So, I mean, what is he betting me with here? Jack 9-9. Definitely could have three. Definitely could have 3 9s. Definitely could have 3 jacks. Maybe just has a pair of jacks. Quite possible. Or it's possible that he could have queens now. Okay. So what I did here, I'm just going to go back and explain what I did here. So this is a spot here that I know I want to bet again. Okay. I'm not going to check this off. There's no reason for me to check this off here and potentially give him a free card. I want to bet for value here. Even if he does possibly have a 9, or maybe he has 2 jacks or something like that, I'm still feeling like, because he's a rec player, he's playing 43% of his hands. He called my 3-bet. I'm still not worried about it. I'm going to play my kings here aggressively. So what I ended up doing here, his stack was only $6.71, and the pot was $5.69, and I wanted to bet close to pot, so I decided to just shove it here, because there was no reason for me to really bet pot and leave him with just $1 and change left for the river. I said, you know what? Either he's going to call this all in here on the turn, or he folds and I win the pot. So for me, I was not worried. I still really was not worried about possibly losing this hand here to a 9 or jacks. Plus also, it was just something I just felt, in my gut, the type of player I was playing versus the recreational type player I was playing versus, that I had no problem just shoving it here, considering the stack size. And he did, in fact, call the bet. And he shows up with Queen Jack. So what did I say? I said there is a possibility, because he's a recreational player, that he has just a pair of jacks. And as we just said, had a pair of jacks there on the flop. And unfortunately for him, he lands a queen here. He lands a queen here on the turn. So he's thinking, of course, he's in great shape because he has 2 pair. But because, of course, I have the kings here, I have a better 2 pair with the kings and the 9s, and I take it down. And you know what? It was close. It was a lot, it was a lot closer than I wanted it to be. But we took it down. So bottom line is, that's why I did the shove. I feel good about the fact I did that shove, because I want to bet big. In these spots, I do not want to be playing versus these players and not betting big. And once again, it paid off well for me. And now for the final hand. So the final hand of this video here, I am dealt pocket threes from the small blind, and we get a raise here from the under the gun. Short stack player. He had a 60-36, so he's a 60 VPIP. He's opening up 60% of his range. Well, actually, he's opening up 36% of his range. He's playing 60%. So even still, he's opening up 36% of his range. It's a pretty big range for an opening range. So we get a call here from this guy. Wait, am I saying this right? Oh no, I'm sorry. This guy was a 30-19. This guy is a 60-36. So he's playing this guy's playing 60% of his hands. Okay, this is gonna end up being the main villain here. He's playing 60% of his hands. So lots of hands. Now I call it definitely because I just, you know what? Unless it's like for 3-bet, I'm always calling pocket pairs, and I've just had great luck lately of getting sets as well for some reason. And we get a fourth guy in here, so I mean this is fine for me. Fine. If I don't hit a set, I'm just gonna fold it. But you know, I'm not folding pocket pairs. So the flop comes, and bam, I do actually get a set. Wonderful. So let's see what happens here. I don't remember exactly how the hand played out. Okay, so I was a small blind. So I bet here. I actually bet close to pot, and the reason why I bet close to pot here is because every single player who was left in his hand was all recreational players. So I knew that one, maybe even two of them, might actually call my bet here. Plus, not only that, I didn't want to check it, and I'll tell you why I didn't check this. I didn't check it because of these two hearts here. So one of these three guys definitely could have two hearts, and so I kind of also wanted to protect and get some people out of this hand that may have been trying to chase flush draws. So that's why I did not check it. I didn't want to check it. It get checks all the way around. This is definitely a board that can get checked all the way around, and then somebody gets a flush and I lose my threes. So this is why I bet it completely out of position. Was not going to slow play this here, and we get a fold there, and this guy calls the bet. Great. So I'm pretty happy about this now. And on the turn, I'm even happier because it's not a heart. It's a jack of spades. You know, he could definitely connect with this board here. And I know I'm just in a great spot here, unless he has freaking, you know, pocket sixes or pocket sevens, you know, and he has a better set than me. So anyway, of course, I'm just going to go ahead and bet pot like I have been doing. You know, these numbers, by the way, are incorrect. This is not accurate, by the way. The main pot was not $1.84 because I wouldn't be betting that much. So anyway, so I'm going to tell you I bet pot. All right, so I bet pot here, and he calls it. Great. I'm so happy at this point because I know I'm ahead in this hand. And now we get a 4. So this was a really interesting spot. Okay, so now I made it kind of like, what do we do here? This guy is 10. This guy still has $10, right? So when we're not shoving here, can he have a 5? I mean, he could definitely have a 5. Maybe if he had pocket 5s, right? Maybe if he had... I mean, well, let's think about it, okay? He calls here 7-6-3, and maybe he has 7-6 suited of a different suit. Possible, okay? What are the chances he has 5s here? There really is very limited chances that he has 5. I mean, you think maybe he was betting... for a, you know, with a gut shot. I don't think he's betting here with a gut shot. So, you know, I'm thinking I don't think I'm losing this hand. I don't see a 5 in this range of what he's been calling me with unless he had pocket 5s. Is the only thing that I think that he could have possibly, you know, he's a rec player, he's playing 6% of his hands, and you know, he could definitely be sitting here betting me with 5s. I'm not going to be afraid of this. Okay, I'm not going to be afraid of, oh, maybe he has a 5. Okay, that's just not the way I'm going to be thinking in this situation here because I just don't have many 5s in this range. So I bet pot like I have been doing, and he calls it. Bam, beautiful. Take it down, and he has pocket 10s. So he was calling me that whole entire way with just a simple pocket 10s. You know, Was that bad? Was that bad betting on his part? I don't know. It's tough to say because I bet you he couldn't put me on threes. I doubt he put me on threes. So I think that could have been maybe a bad bet though with the straight draw being out there, but a bad call. But you know what? I took down. This was my biggest pot of the night, and I'm really proud of how I played it. Proud of how I played the entire session. So this was kind of a different video for me. If you like it, definitely comment below. Let me know if you like this type of video. Um, I know I kind of stumble around at a few times, and I'm gonna do some more of these in the future. But if you liked it, let me know. If not, that's fine too. I'm gonna try and mix up the type of videos I have here. Do me a favor, please subscribe. I appreciate it, and just hope to have more videos here as I try and build myself up the ranks and learn and continue to learn. And these videos help me in the learning process. So I appreciate you watching, and take care until the next video. Ta-ta.